I am finally teaching myself digital art. I've wanted to do this for like 15 years, but back in my day when I was a teenager, I could not afford a tablet or an iPad or anything like that. Remember, we are impoverished rat girls, okay? We make do with what we got. But I kind of like woke up and I was like, dang, I have like adult money. Not like a lot of adult money, but I was able to get an iPad. So the first piece of homework that I gave myself was to make a little mood board or vision board with different art that I liked from different artists, and I did try to mostly stick to people that did digital, although a lot of them do both. You'll find that like a lot of people actually kind of mix both mediums. Like they'll do a sketch. I know this artist, I can never say her name, Lapitan or Lupitan, I don't know how to say it. I think they're Italian. But she'll do a lot of like traditional sketches, and then I like take pictures and then do like a watercolor version and then a traditional or digital version, excuse me. And I think that's really cool. And I think that actually personally is probably what I'm gonna end up doing quite a bit. Or I believe this is Avril Circus. I'm going to try to link everyone in the description, but I really like that they use super high contrast, and you'll notice all of these have a lot of like red and blue because I kind of like red and blue. And yeah, and I like how whimsical these pieces are below. But anyway, make a vision board, find some art that you like, and then really get into the nitty-gritty about like why do you like these pieces. So after I studied some artists that I liked and got a little bit of inspiration, I decided I was going to draw a lady with some bugs, and I wanted her to be kind of spooky. I mean, this is kind of a thing I like to do anyway. I like spooky bugs, surreal kind of pieces. I like when things aren't exactly to scale or look kind of collaged. I'll insert some of my other pieces here and there. The heart kind of looks not good. It looks like a strawberry. I'm gonna be so honest, I kind of did rush this piece because I was so excited to try to like go straight to the digital art. But essentially the idea was I was gonna do two pieces and have them kind of mirror each other in a way. And I didn't really care too much to pick perfect colors. I just kind of went with whatever I was feeling. And I didn't want them to be a one-to-one exact copy of each other because it was going to be really boring to do exactly the same thing. I got kind of into like Zentangles on her hair, which was fun. But mostly I was like, I want to figure out how to actually like render and do color that's not like super flat. And honestly, you guys, I spent like 8 hours on this and it was low-key kind of like mediocre, I'm not going to lie. And halfway through, I figured out you could like actually see the little video of it like being created, which is really cool. Back in my day, you had to have a separate screen recorder, so this is really useful and nifty, and I like that. But yeah, I think the elapsed time on this got up to like almost 8 hours. I didn't know how to render. I was putting different things on weird layers and merging things and doing all sorts of like stupid stuff, which was really dumb. So one of the problems with digital art is that you can keep going forever. It's kind of like oil painting in that way where you kind of don't ever have to finish, which is great, but also, I don't know, there's kind of a point where you have to decide like, am I improving this? Am I making it better? Or am I just beating a dead horse? You know, I think there are things I would like to fix, but I'm kind of lazy. If you get really close, you can see the little specks in spots like here. And down here, I don't know what layer those are on, and I don't want to look through all my layers. And I'm not a huge fan of her eyebrows. They're okay. But I'm getting lazy. And I don't want to do anymore. But I do like the vibe. I do like the way this looks. It makes me think of other pieces I've done. This definitely looks like art that I've made. Like, I was kind of worried that I was going to work on this piece and it would look not really like my art. The one thing is I do feel like it's a little, her hair feels still kind of flat, and I think it's because of the illustrations I did, the Zentangles on top. I think that definitely kind of flattened it out, but I like them, you know. I don't think I'm gonna do it in the traditional piece, but I do like the tendrils, I can't lie. And then after doing both of these pieces side by side, you know what's crazy? Is I don't like either of these paintings. I hate them both. Boo. And also, in case you're wondering, I lost the orange slice that I had over here. So just pretend like you can't even see that. Yeah, so I actually don't even know. I think they're both cool. and they're both very different, and I actually maybe like this one better, but this isn't where we end the story. I think this is a really good way, or you're basically making homework for yourself, right? This was like our control, I guess, and then this was like our wild card. Can we get something that's even similar? Does it have like a similar ethos? Does it feel like I made this, you know? And I would definitely say this does look like something I would make. I showed you guys a bunch of my art already. This does feel like me, right? But I'm not like in love with it. So then I said, whatever, I don't care. I'm gonna put these guys away and not look at them anymore, because I think a trap that a lot of artists get into is that we won't stop. We keep working and working and working. And the pro with watercolor and a lot of traditional art is that you literally have to stop at some point. The paper is not going to let you keep going forever. Maybe oil, but even then there's like only so much oil you could put on a page. This I could just keep doing forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and never stop, right? Because you can go back and then just keep doing stuff. And I love that and I hate that, because I feel like I'm not satisfied with this piece. And so sometimes it's okay to say, hey, I'm not super happy with how this turned out. There are pieces that I like if we get real close, I really like the way her face looks. I like this nose. I'm not as into her eyebrows. I was kind of trying to give her more of a vintage 1920s film movie look that this one maybe doesn't have. And actually, I don't like her eyes as much, and I think her eyebrows are too close together. Right? We can critique our stuff and look at them together and say, like, what do we like and what do we not like? I do like her nose though. I think our noses actually are pretty similar. So I decided I'm gonna just throw both of these away. Just kidding, we're not throwing them away. But I just took a total break from both of these. I think we came out with some cool stuff. They both look like me. But then I just totally went a different route altogether and started painting fat little animals, because that's like what I'm good at. And then this is kind of a similar process, but not quite exactly the same. This is a traditional little watercolor chicken in boots, and I did this a while ago. But this is my own piece. So I cleaned him up. I took the background out, and because I want to make little stickers eventually. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to like just add some more lines, like make it look a little more defined. And then I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to make a tracing, and I'm to be mindful of like, please don't trace stuff that's not your own art. This is mine. I painted this chicken. This is a chicken that lives on my farm that I took a picture of. So, and like in art school, this is like so funny. There's so many crazy people on art TikTok that are very dramatic about stuff. But in art school, you do lots of tracings and masterwork studies. It's not like a sin, like you can trace stuff, it's okay, but you really do need to be mindful of like, please don't sell stuff that's tracings, right? So like, I wouldn't go take a picture of somebody else's art, trace it, and then say like, that's my original piece, right? This is a little different because this is my own artwork, and so I'm trying to study my own brush strokes in watercolor, and I'm trying to see how I can I emulate that or get a similar look in digital Procreate, just using the standard brushes. So this is a little bit more nuanced than people are just like, never trace. I think it's also important not to use tracing as a crutch, because you can get like too dependent on it. And like, he definitely needs a little more work, I think, a little more shading for sure. And I think I could even add back a watercolor texture back in later. But to be honest, this actually looks pretty good. I still think my original is better. Like, he's got more character, but hello, excuse me, can you get out of here? Hello. But I still actually think that this is not a terrible attempt at trying to replicate some of the brushstroke qualities of the original piece. I think it does feel similar. Okay, and here's a quick intermission, and I'm gonna try to be like as succinct and like concise as I possibly can, but I do like to yap, so like hopefully this all makes sense. You might be wondering like, girl, what are you doing? You're just like copying your own artwork. And yes I am. And the reason I'm doing this, again, I'm trying to learn how to basically replicate my style in digital art, which is so much harder than you would like think. It's a whole different ballpark to not have the physical constraints of paper and pen and liquid. Like, you would think it would be easier. It's not. Digital art is very hard. It's a whole different game. It's a whole different game. Okay, but I really want to make merchandise and stickers. At some point, if I get more than 3 people watching, I would love to start like a little snail mail club. That would be so cute to send out stickers, right? And it's just a lot easier to have like a digital file that you can send directly to a manufacturer. And right, if you need to make revisions or edits, it's so much easier to do that digitally versus with traditional art. I don't want to have to send my handmade paintings to anyone. And yeah, I'm not a graphic designer. Like, I don't know much about the ins and outs of all that stuff, so I'm probably speaking wrong. But the other thing is I don't own a printer or scanner. And even if I did, it would probably not get very high quality prints. I would need these all to be taken in to be professionally scanned, and that it can just be a little scary to take like handmade art in, because you never know if like people are gonna like treat those things well and with respect, and so I don't want to do that, and so I figure I'm gonna just like learn digital art and get real good at that, and I'll always do a mix of both. But I think as far as making stickers and merchandise, I think I would like to veer more towards getting really good at digital art. Again, I'll probably use both and always be a multimedia artist, but yeah, I hope that makes sense. I hope that like kind of explains like why am I doing all this like extra steps that seem kind of redundant. It's actually a good example of a piece that I just recently put together, and he is a whole tiger, and I actually made like a little like I don't want to say what it like an animatic. I made the little letters move, which is cool. So the tiger is traditional art, and then these are just different like letters from magazines that are copied, and then I have different layers with the letters moving, and so they kind of like dance and change. So you can watch me do the traditional like watercolor painting quick. And the idea of this little assignment was to keep the layers consistent and clean. The first portrait I did, obviously there was like all these little scuffs and it looked bad. This had a bajillion layers and I needed them to all be like pretty clean and where they were supposed to be, because obviously I wanted the letters to undulate and move, right? So I had to keep on top of that. And then I started to paint a lot of farm animals. I was doing like animatics kind of as a coping mechanism because there was like a lot of bad stuff happening. And so I did use reference pictures. Oh my God, hello. Reference pictures. This is kind of ugly. And then I actually made one that looks less bad over here. Keep your ugly pictures though, you guys, because it is good. Here, we'll just compare them. So look at this one. That sheep looks chopped as hell. That's ugly, okay? And so this is like my reference. Part of it is because that sheep has like a weird looking face, not to blame the sheep, but then I did it again and I was like, dang, that one looks a lot better. And yeah, you can see I don't really do a lot of backgrounds. I have never been a big background person. Here's a kitty with a scarf. It's kind of abstract. I was just trying to like get into the habit of drawing every day. I started drawing my own farm animals. I really like this piece. It's like 2 of my little goats. This is where I was like, dang, I'm actually getting kind of good. I'm actually getting kind of good at this and starting to add my own flair and my own fun little things that I like to do. I don't feel like exporting this one, but then I also was like, okay, I'm gonna like try to do something in a different style. If you guys know about the Barbie movies, I was thinking, okay, I want to do something inspired by like a Barbie movie title, you know, like the OG, like Y2K Barbie Fairytopia. So my idea here was, again, I love painting girls and I love painting bugs. So I was like, okay, let's do a princess or like a fancy looking lady. And I wanted her dress to be based on a rosy maple moth. And yeah, I know I could have exported this. I just didn't feel like exporting it. I wanted to yap while I was watching it. So I hope that's okay. And yeah, you can see, again, this is kind of why earlier I said you want to not trace too much. Because, I mean, you can see I'm drawing everything by hand. If you do get, this is like more, I want to talk to like younger artists. If you get too into the habit of tracing things, you are never going to learn like how to do proportions. You're never going to learn how to make things look natural. You're never going to make things look like they belong in a scene. You know, you're just not going to like find your own style. And again, it's not to be too like mean. It's totally fine for studying. It's totally fine for referencing. It's totally fine for that kind of thing. Oh, you're not even watching me. I was I was trying to figure out how to do all these like flowers because I wanted her to have like flowers at first. Yeah, I should have just exported this video, but I don't want to. But yeah, this took forever. I think this also took me like 8 hours, you guys, because I was still kind of in the learning process, and this was a totally different style because I was going Barbie. I was going Barbie princess, okay? But this is all important, and this is also, and I don't mean to like yap too much about AI and how much I hate AI, but you guys, every time you're doing something and taking it away and doing something and taking it away and trying something new and taking it away, that is generating stuff. Your brain is more important than any generative AI. See, and then I was like, okay, do I like these flowers? Do I not like these flowers? I was changing the dress. I was adding less flowers. I eventually totally ended up not using the flowers. We'll just skip ahead because this is kind of boring. Yeah, coloring is more fun. But yeah, your brain is more important than anything generative AI can produce, okay? I have my little rosy maple moth in the corner to look at. I actually found that I enjoy putting a little palette together that I can choose from. Because yeah, you can color select, but sometimes the colors, like here, we're gonna get up close and personal. The thing with colors and color selecting is like, my brain can look at the rosy maple moth and I'm looking at like the brightest pink and the brightest yellow, but there are colors in here that are like gray or really desaturated. And so your brain takes it all together and it's seeing these colors, but this is actually like a whole bunch of different colors, some of which are like this. So sometimes it's better for you to use your own brain to like make the conscious effort to choose colors that look the best. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So color picking is fine sometimes, but like please also use discretion, use your own mind, use your own brain, okay? I hope that makes sense. And then again, you can see I like kept changing the dress like multiple times. I kept doing that like literally forever. I kept changing her face. But that's all part of the process. That's all part of the learning. That's all part of figuring it out. You can even do weird things like invert colors I figured out, which was kind of fun. And yeah. So while this was outside of my comfort range because I was doing like a Barbie inspired thing, I think it did work out. I actually think her face is really cute. She does look like a Barbie, but she also looks like a rosy maple moth, and that was the whole point. And that's pretty much where I'm going to leave off, you guys. I have so many other pieces I'd love to talk about and go in depth with, but I don't want this video to go on forever. There are some things that I think I've worked on some pieces that are like technically pretty impressive, and I'm very happy with how they're turning out. And some things are just for fun. Like I've been doing a lot of like not safe for work, spicy fan art, because listen, in this economy, I might have to start selling furry fan art. Okay, listen, you gotta pay the bills. You gotta pay the bills somehow. Okay. But anyway, stick around for that if you want to. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I do really want to start a sticker club. If I get more than like 10 people to like be interested, that would be super fun. And that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you are learning a new skill or something, please, 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 please be patient with yourself. You're not going to be amazing at it immediately. I know that sucks. I know it's like if you're used to being good at like everything all the time like me, sometimes it can really suck to be bad at it. I get that. Just to like let you know, I had the iPad. I think I bought it 2 years ago, and the first year I just like didn't barely ever touch it. I made some really flat paper dolls, and that's all I could do, and you'll see that my lines were not very even. Like they were cute. I was working with kids, so like it was fun to make paper dolls that were custom for them, but they were not the greatest, and now I'm making stuff that is definitely a lot more impressive. So please be patient with yourself, right? Like that took me almost a whole year and a half to get to the point where I am right now. And from here, I hope I can make more progress and keep going. But yeah, it takes time. Everything takes time. Be kind to yourself. That's pretty much it. I will see you guys next time.